Well, in another sign of a return to normality after being on hold these last 3 months, football is making a return across Europe. Germany's Bundesliga resumed about a month ago. Later this week, it'll be the turn of the English Premier League and Italy's Serie A. And now the top two Spanish divisions are back in action. Let's get the latest from our sports editor, Simon Harding. Simon, it looks like we've got a summer absolutely jam-packed with football ahead of us.
Absolutely, Tom, and it's good news for football fans who, as you can imagine, haven't had much to enjoy in these past 3 months. As you were mentioning, the top two tiers of Spain's football resumed over the weekend. The first game was Real Betis against Sevilla the weekend on Friday, and the usual order was very much maintained there. Barcelona winning 4-0 away from home against Mallorca this weekend. Lionel Messi, of course, getting on the score sheet very late in that match in the 93rd minute. So there was a little bit of controversy in that game because, as you know, all football games across all these four top leagues in Europe are being played behind closed doors. But one fan who was wearing an Argentina shirt managed to get inside the stadium and even managed to get on the pitch to pose for a selfie at a distance with Lionel Messi. But authorities there are investigating how that was possible, with criminal charges perhaps on the line for this one fan. So something there that also reminds us that the coronavirus is still very much present, even though football has returned. Real Madrid elsewhere, also with a victory 3-1 against Eibar. Toni Kroos, Sergio Ramos and Marcelo with the goals. That means that the standings don't really change after the first round of fixtures. Barcelona are top of La Liga, 2 points clear of Real Madrid with 61 points. Sevilla are third so far this year in the championship, and they're actually in action this evening against Levante. That game, which kicks off at 7:30 p.m. Sevilla, who played in the first match, as I was saying, of the return of La Liga on Friday.
Okay, and just looking at the situation in Germany, I mean, the football season there could actually come to a fairly swift conclusion, Simon.
Yes, it's quite odd in a way because, of course, people were waiting for it so much to resume. But in the end, Bayern Munich, who have dominated German football for the past 7 years, could actually wrap up their 8th championship title in a row when they play Werder Bremen on Tuesday afternoon. Of course, Bayern Munich, who could be crowned champions away from home. They've been by far the most dominant force in Germany in the past decade. Werder Bremen, who are actually in the relegation zone, 3 points from safety. So all the indicators are perhaps pointing that Bayern will be able to, in fact, clinch that title. Of course, Bayern 7 points ahead of Borussia Dortmund, who are second, which means that with 3 games left to play, there's only 18 teams in the German league, which means 34 fixtures instead of 38, like most other major leagues across Europe. That would mean that they could wrap up that game. The deciding match was, of course, one of the first ones when the Bundesliga restarted, when Bayern Munich went to Dortmund, beat Dortmund at the Signal Iduna Park 1-0 in what has largely been described as the match that really defined the title there. So there might be no more suspense, as we say in Germany, but what is for sure is that Bayern could be getting a very big and important 8th title in a row.
Okay, well, thank you very much indeed for that. Our sports editor, Simon Harding there.